කිසිවක් කාලේ වැලිතලාවෙන් යටපත් වීමට ඉඩ දී යුතු නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපරාධයට හිමි දඬුවම කවදද කලේ කොතනද කරේ කියන ભેදකින් තොරව ලබා දීම සඳහා අපේ ආණ්ඩුව කැප වී කටයුතු කරන බව මම ඔබට කියන්න කැමතියි.
Eastern nuclear powers unite in China as it commemorates its people's war victory. Trump reacts with concern, accusing China of conspiracy. Rajitha faces bribery commission. Pujit and Deshabandhu appear before court.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, President Anurukumar Dissanayake appointed 18 new High Court judges. The appointment letters were presented to the new judges at the Presidential Secretariat.
17 of the newly appointed High Court judges are special grade judicial officers, while one is a senior state counsel from the Attorney General's Department. These appointments were made by the President in accordance with Article 111(2) of the Constitution. The newly appointed High Court judges include S.S.K. Vithana, A.M.I.S. Athanayaka, A.M.M. Rial, T.P. Mudun Kotua, S.B.H.M.S. Herat, J. Khajanadi Palan, H.M.B.R. Vijay Ratna, D.M.S. Enemy Ratna, G.N. Pereira, A. Judson, W.K.D.S. Veeratunga, R.B.M.D.R. Veligotapitia, D.M.R.D. Dissanayake and M.I.M. Rizvi, who previously served as district judges and additional district judges. Also appointed as High Court judges were D.M.D.C. Bandara, Senior Assistant Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission, A. Jayalakshmi De Silva, Senior State Counsel, and Magistrates A.A. Anandaraja and K.D.N.V. Lankapura.
President Anurukumar Dissanayake asserted today that the law will be enacted on each crime without letting them be forgotten under the sands of time. The President made this statement while addressing the 159th Police Day celebrations earlier today.
The main celebrations in lieu of the 159th Police Day was held at the Police Field Force headquarters in Colombo this evening, led by President Anurukumar Dissanayake. The President was afforded Guards of Honour by the police and Police Special Task Force, after which President Dissanayake engaged in several programs, including awarding of promotions.
The crimes or murders that remain unsolved in our country are not due to the incompetence of the police department or a lack of dedication within it. From a general perspective, behind every crime that remains unsolved, there is political influence and political power. That is the truth. No matter how much the officers of the police department attempt to carry out these investigations with commitment and dedication, history shows that such efforts have been undermined by political power. Not only were such investigations undermined, but in our country, a culture of revenge has been created against the officers who conducted them. There is a history where carrying out one's duty correctly became a reason for retaliation. I assure you that under our government, such things will not happen. You must dedicate your duty to the motherland for the safety of our people. Step forward without fear. At the same time, there are certain notions being built up that these crimes, these murders, will be washed away in 10 or 15 years. No murder is ever purified by time. No crime should be allowed to be buried under the sands of time. That is why I want to tell you that our government is committed to ensuring that justice is served for crimes regardless of when or where they were committed. Some of these cases are more than a decade and a half old. Much of the necessary evidence has often been destroyed. The evidence that has been found has deteriorated with time. Therefore, we know that these investigations are difficult. Some criminals, some murderers, believe that time will conceal their crimes, that by hiding evidence, by letting it expire, or by burying it, they can escape justice. But I tell you, time is no obstacle to the enforcement of the law. That is why the present Inspector General of Police, as well as the senior investigating officers, carry a great responsibility. And that responsibility is to remember well that the people of this country are looking to you.
විශාල වගකීමක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගකීම තමයි මේ රටේ ජනතාව ඔබ දෙස බලාගෙන ඉන්න බව හොඳට මතක තබා ගන්න.
The Inspector General of Police detailed the progress achieved by the police over the past year.
During this year, we have achieved the following results. In drug seizures, 1,416 kilograms of ice, 946 kilograms of heroin, 12,802 kilograms of cannabis, 1,869 kilograms of other drugs, and over 30 million illicit tablets and capsules have been taken into custody. Today as well, with the support of the Navy, the police were able to seize 720 kilograms of cannabis in the northern province. In addition, the following quantities of firearms have been seized this year. 1,612 illegal weapons, including T-56 assault rifles and pistols. 17 organized criminals who were directing crimes from overseas have been brought back to Sri Lanka. Of these, the simultaneous arrest of 5 such organized criminals last week with the support of the international police is considered to be a significant milestone and a major achievement. According to the vision of the police, the goal is to create a peaceful environment where people can live without fear of crime and violence with confidence. To implement this vision, the government has now ensured that you have the opportunity to perform your duties free from any political or other interference, from myself as the Inspector General of Police down to the most junior officer of the Sri Lanka Police.
Coinciding with the 159th National Police Day, the new police headquarters was declared open this morning. The ceremony took place with the participation of Minister of Public Security Anand Vijaypala, Inspector General of Police, Attorney at Law Priyantha Veerasurya and several other officials. The new police headquarters was declared open amidst multi-religious blessings.
And on to some developing news overseas. China flexed its military muscle at a huge military parade in Beijing to mark 80 years since the end of World War II, displaying its latest generation of stealth fighters, tanks and ballistic missiles amid a highly choreographed cast of thousands. The parade through Tiananmen Square on Wednesday morning was overseen by Chinese President Xi Jinping, who is also the head of the country's military and the Chinese Communist Party.
China held a grand parade at Tiananmen Square to commemorate the 80th anniversary of victory over Japan in the Second World War, a moment that marked the end of the global anti-fascist struggle. Presided over by President Xi Jinping, the event carried the theme, quote, "Cherish peace, remember the fallen, and build a brighter future," end quote. In a rare show of international solidarity, Russian President Vladimir Putin, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter were among the distinguished guests. Leaders from over 20 nations including Vietnam, Malaysia, Belarus, Zimbabwe, Serbia, Cuba and Myanmar were also invited. One surprise guest at the parade was the chief of Pakistan's military, which critics say plays an outsized role in the country's politics. Field Marshal Asim Munir was not initially reported on the guest list, but was present at Wednesday's parade. Chinese President Xi Jinping, also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, gave the command for the inspection to begin. As the review vehicle moved slowly eastward, passing the fluttering flags of the party, the nation and the army, Xi saluted the flags, his eyes fixed on them. Amid resounding military music, Xi inspected foot, banner and armament formations. The parade featured over 10,000 military personnel, cutting-edge weaponry and more than 100 fighter jets, including the DF-5C nuclear ballistic missile, underscoring China's evolving defense capabilities. A tri-service salute and aerial demonstration added to the spectacle. A total of 7 groups joined the joint armament formations for the parade, including those for land combat, maritime combat, air defense and anti-missile operations, information warfare, unmanned combat, logistics and equipment support and strategic strike. The unmanned land combat formation displaced unmanned vehicles that can carry out various tasks such as reconnaissance, assaults, mine and bomb defusing and removal, and squad assistance. A series of China's air defense weapons, including Hongqi 20, Hongqi 19 and Hongqi 29, made an appearance in China's V-Day military parade. These systems are capable of multi-phase and multi-layered missile interception, as well as air defense at long, medium and short ranges. Chinese President Xi Jinping declared that humanity is once again standing at a critical crossroads. In a powerful address marking the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War.
Humanity is once again faced with the choice between peace or war, dialogue or confrontation, win-win or zero-sum outcomes. The people firmly stand on the right side of history, on the side of civilization and progress, adhering to the path of peaceful development. Together with the people of all countries, we must build a community with a shared future for mankind. The People's Liberation Army of China has always been a completely trustworthy heroic force of the party and the people. All officers and soldiers must faithfully fulfill their sacred duties, accelerate the building of a world-class military, resolutely safeguard national sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity, and provide strategic support for national rejuvenation as well as greater contributions to world peace and development. History bears the past and inspires the future. United in struggle, the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is unstoppable, and the noble cause of human peace and development is bound to triumph.
The parade not only commemorated the historic victory but also served as a reminder of China's role in the global fight against fascism, a legacy the country continues to uphold with pride and purpose.
US President Donald Trump has accused Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping of conspiring against the US with the leaders of Russia and North Korea. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, quote-unquote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." Trump previously rejected suggestions that the warming of relations between China, Russia and other nations poses a challenge to the US on the global stage. On social media, the US President also mentioned the massive amount of support and blood the US gave China during World War II. China's parade marks 8 years of Japan's surrender in the war and China's victory against an occupying force.
Italian Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Maria Tripodi, arrived in the country today on an official visit.
Italy's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Maria Tripodi, is scheduled to remain in Sri Lanka until the 5th of September. The visit is the highest level incoming visit from Italy to Sri Lanka in almost a decade. Deputy Minister Tripodi is also scheduled to call on Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amrasuriya and hold discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijitha Herath. A memorandum of understanding on the establishment of a political consultations mechanism is due to be signed during the visit, providing a structured framework for dialogue between the two countries.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath presented Sri Lanka's reform roadmap to Colombo-based diplomats.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijitha Herath, led a high-level briefing for members of the Colombo-based diplomatic corps, outlining the government's reform-driven progress since assuming office 11 months ago. Addressing ambassadors and representatives from international organizations, Minister Herath emphasized that the country stands at a pivotal moment, one defined by a commitment to reconciliation, human rights and inclusive development. He called on the diplomatic community to continue acknowledging and supporting Sri Lanka's transformative journey. Among the key highlights of the briefing were the government's efforts to strengthen domestic reconciliation mechanisms, including the Office on Missing Persons, Office for Reparations and the Office for National Unity and Reconciliation. Herath also detailed the progress on the Clean Sri Lanka program, the anti-corruption drive and the drafting of new counter-terrorism legislation, alongside proposed amendments to the Online Safety Act. The minister reaffirmed the administration's firm and genuine commitment to protecting the rights and well-being of all Sri Lankans and stressed the importance of international cooperation in advancing national processes that uphold the rule of law and foster sustainable growth.
The new Habarana Veyangoda electricity transmission system, built at a cost exceeding 19 billion rupees, was officially inaugurated today. The project was implemented with financial support from the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA.
The new Habarana Veyangoda electricity transmission system was inaugurated today, led by Minister of Energy, Engineer Kumar Jaikodi, and Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, Akio Isamata.
It's okay.
The project received financial assistance from Japan's JICA, structured with a 10-year grace period and repayable over 40 years. The inauguration ceremony in Habarana was attended by the Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, the program representative of JICA in Sri Lanka, and other dignitaries.
Japanese government developed a country-specific development assistance policy for Sri Lanka just a few months ago, this year. And in that very important policy document, we expressed a very strong commitment about assisting Sri Lanka in improvement of infrastructure, including electricity, including renewable energy generation, and including electricity sector reform. The reason for us to continue to assist is develop a relationship together by making further investment in Sri Lanka for the benefit of Japan and Japanese people too.
Several projects have been delayed for various reasons. Upon recognizing this situation, we took several steps. First, we recommended projects that had been planned and initiated but were halted midway. Second, we intervened to accelerate the progress of projects that are currently underway but progressing slowly due to various issues and lacking specific timelines. Third, we implemented new, innovative measures aimed at stabilizing the power generation system. In particular, the Kotmale-Pulpitiya transmission line, which has been significantly delayed, will be completed very soon. This will ensure that incidents like the previous failure do not occur again, and we are taking all necessary measures to prevent such issues in the future. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has released a powerful fact-finding report following its mission to the Semmani mass grave site, where over 200 human remains have been unearthed in what may be one of the most significant investigations into enforced disappearances in the country's history. Faded, torn and buried in the soil of what is now considered as a mass grave, a bag was discovered. In August, the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka conducted a fact-finding mission on the ongoing investigation into the mass grave site in Semmani and released a report on its findings. The report outlines serious concerns about the adequacy of forensic expertise, technological resources and institutional accountability. Based on the preliminary feedback of the experts working at the site, the HRCSL learned that over 90% of the human remains found at the site had no form of clothing whatsoever. It was also observed that given the positioning of the skeletal remains, including the fact that some remains were in extreme proximity to one another and the shallow depth of the remains, there is a reasonable likelihood that the burials were unlawful and pursuant to extrajudicial killings. The Commission has called for the establishment of a permanent independent office to investigate and prosecute serious crimes by state officials, including enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. It also recommended the creation of a DNA bank to match remains with families of the disappeared and the use of bomb pulse carbon dating to accurately determine the age of the remains. Among the 17 recommendations issued to various ministries and institutions, HRCSL urged the Ministry of Justice to adopt a standard operating procedure for mass grave investigations, the Ministry of Finance to expedite the release of vital forensic equipment held at customs.
Police say the shooting that occurred in Maligawata this morning is believed to have resulted from a clash between organized criminal gangs. The victim, an employee at a vehicle spare parts shop, sustained injuries.
The shooting was captured on CCTV device of a nearby shop in Maligawata. Two unidentified assailants who arrived on a motorcycle fled the scene immediately after opening fire. A T-56 assault rifle was used in the shooting. Police said the shop employee sustained serious injuries to his shoulder and is currently receiving treatment at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka.
Case file.
Former Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, who is currently in remand custody, was brought before the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Now, this was in accordance with a directive issued recently by the Colombo Magistrates Court for the purpose of recording a statement.
Rajitha Senaratne was remanded on the 29th of August after being presented before court in connection with an incident where he allegedly caused a loss of over 20 million rupees to the government by awarding a sand mining project at the Kirinda Fisheries Harbour to a Korean company. The Bribery Commission stated that the project was awarded without cabinet approval and without calling for an environmental assessment report. The Commission had requested court permission to obtain a statement from Senaratne while in remand custody, and he was presented before the Commission in line with that request. The former minister is currently in remand custody until the 9th of September.
Case file.
Several members of the Central Committee of the Pivituru Hela Urumaya met with opposition leader Sajith Premadasa this morning, claiming that there are preparations underway to arrest former Minister Udaya Gammanpila. The meeting took place at the office of the leader of the opposition.
As you may already know, there are indications that Udaya Gammanpila may be arrested under the ICCPR Act. We believe it is crucial to inform the opposition leader about this. The government, unable to fulfill its promises to the people and struggling with its own failures, is now attempting to silence those who expose its shortcomings. We strongly oppose these actions aimed at suppressing dissent.
නීති තර්කවලින් කලපමි පුද්ගලෙක් මේ බුදකම්මන්පිල මහත්මයා කොහෙද දැන් මේ හැංගිලා කොහෙද ඉන්නේ කොහෙද හැංගිලා
හැංගිමක් නෙමෙයි මහත්මයා ඇත්තටම එතුමාගේ උසස් අධ්‍යාපන කටයුතු සඳහා තමයි එතුමා විදේශගත වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
එතුමා කවදද ලංකාවට එන්නේ දැන් සතියකට කරේ මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡාවක් තිබ්බා දැන් ඒවත් නෑ.
ලබන සතියේ එතුමා ලංකාවට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම එනවා සැප්තැම්බර් 10 වගේ දවසක. ඇත්තටම එතුමා විදේශගත වෙලා ඉන්නේ තමන්ගේ ඉහළ අධ්‍යාපන කටයුත්තක් සඳහා.
Meanwhile, the Criminal Investigation Department informed the Colombo Magistrates Court on the 22nd of August that an investigation has been launched into a statement made by Udaya Gamanpila during a recent media briefing. The CID stated that the probe was initiated following a complaint and is being conducted under provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or ICCPR Act.
Case file.
Reports indicate that opposition leader and Samagi Janabalawege leader Sajith Premadasa is expected to be summoned before the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The summons is reportedly linked to an ongoing investigation based on a complaint received by the commission. According to sources, the complaint alleges that state funds were used for development activities at the United National Party's Sirikota headquarters. Deputy Minister of Housing T.B. Sarath today inspected several housing projects in Kilinochi that were initiated by Sajith Premadasa between 2018 and 2019 but are yet to be completed. Here is the current state of an unfinished housing project in the village of Punnai Niravi in the Kilinochi district.
This was what was done to fulfill his presidential dream without any proper plan. He has been laying the foundations for these houses, allocating funds for a large number of them. He raised people's hopes, but he did not solve their problems. That's what people like Sajith have always done. They raise people's hopes and then they don't solve the problems. It's the same thing now. He goes everywhere, gets a few people and his own members of parliament together, comes to the city and gives a voice cut about how there's no price for paddy, no price for this, and no houses being built. He's working for his own survival, not for permanent solutions for the people. That's what Sajith's house building initiatives show us. According to the basic law of the country, any leader who has committed mistakes, not only Sajith, will be punished in the future. That is not the doing of this government. It is the basic law of the country. Many political leaders in our country have understood the reality of a country where everyone is treated justly and fairly. They claim it is an act of revenge, but that isn't the case. When we visit these sites, we can comprehend what has truly happened. If any acts of fraud or corruption have taken place, the law will be enacted. We will not influence it.
The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court today ordered that the case related to the act of arson on the private residence of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, which took place on the 9th of July 2022, be referred to the Attorney General for further instructions.
When the case was called, the suspects, who are currently on bail, appeared before open court. Among them were former Member of Parliament Jayashree Ranga, Andrew Yvonne Pereira, Manju Vethamuni, Shireen Wickremesinghe, Dilrug Madhushankar, Ashant Sandeep, Anwar Ali and Indika Prasad. Charges against them relate to allegations of unlawfully obstructing government officials from getting onto a fire service vehicle during the arson attack on former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's private residence on the 9th of July 2022. The case is scheduled to be heard again on the 14th of January 2026.
The Colombo Fort Magistrates Court ordered that the case related to the May 9, 2022 attack on protesters at Goldface Green be referred to the Attorney General for advice. The case, filed as offences under the Public Property Act, involves suspects accused of causing damage to state property. A total of 37 suspects are named in the case, including former MPs Milan Jayathilaka, Johnston Fernando and former Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon. At today's hearing, Tennakon, who was previously taken into custody as the 37th suspect and later released on bail, appeared along with 35 other suspects, including former Minister Johnston Fernando and former MP Milan Jayathilaka. The Magistrates Court issued warrants for the arrest of the two suspects who failed to appear at today's hearing and scheduled the next hearing for the 21st January 2026. The charges against former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jasundara related to the alleged criminal intimidation and coercion against an elevator operator at the Criminal Investigation Department were dropped today by the Fort Magistrates Court. The court issued this order after determining that the suspect had not acted with criminal intent and that his actions did not amount to misconduct in the line of duty. The case against former IGP Pujit Jasundara was filed over an incident which had allegedly taken place on the 11th April 2017. Former IGP Jasundara was accused of verbally abusing and threatening an officer named A.H. Samarakon Banda, who was working as the Elevator 1 operator at the Criminal Investigation Department, and of attempting to assault him. An internal investigation into the incident was launched by the CID based on a complaint made by the officer to then acting IGP CD Vikramaratne on the 2nd June 2019.
TV for life.
Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Peruni Karunaratne. As always, we're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. This morning too, we're ready to bring to you details of all the top stories from both here at home and around the world. Stay tuned with us for the news in detail. As always, we start off with news here at home. The results of the 2025 Grade 5 Scholarship Examination were officially released at midnight yesterday. The Department of Examinations announced that the results can be accessed via its official websites www.donets.lk and www.results.exams.gov.lk. Now, in addition to the results, the department has also issued the district cutoff marks. For Sinhala medium candidates, the cutoff mark for the Colombo district has been fixed at 140. The same cutoff mark applies to the Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy, Mathale, Gaul, Mathura, Kurunagala and Kegol districts. The Sinhala medium cutoff for the Ratnapura district has been set at 136, while for the Hambantota district it is 135. Now, for the Badulla and Monaragala districts, the cutoff mark is 134, and for the Putlam, Anuradhapura, Polunarwa, Trincomalee and Ampara districts, it stands at 133. In the Nuwara Eliya district, the cutoff mark is 132, while the lowest Sinhala medium cutoff this year has been recorded at 127, applicable to the Kilinochi, Mana, Vaunia, Mulathu and Batiklu districts. Meanwhile, for Tamil medium, the only cutoff mark for the Jaffna district has been released, which is 132. The 2025 Grade 5 Scholarship Examination was conducted on the 10th of August at 2,787 examination centres across the country, with a total of 303,670 students facing the examination. Now, the government has paid attention to the establishment of a special task force aimed at promoting the tourism sector. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijitha Herat, stated that this decision was made with the dual objective of revitalizing the tourism industry and generating direct revenue for the national economy. He further noted that the task force will be empowered to make decisions pertaining to the advancement of the tourism sector of Sri Lanka. The minister made these remarks during the inaugural session of the Tourism Promotion Task Force held recently at the Presidential Secretariat. During the discussions, emphasis was placed on preparing comprehensive plans for tourism development, ensuring coordinated implementation under a unified framework of state institutions, as well as addressing challenges faced by tourists visiting the country and by industry stakeholders. Attention was also drawn to the importance of developing joint strategies with all relevant state institutions and private sector stakeholders to ensure the upcoming tourism season is a success. Let's move on to more local news this morning. The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, or SLTDA, has announced that 198,235 tourists visited the country during the month of August. This marks a 20.4% increase compared to tourist arrivals recorded in August last year. According to the latest data released by the SLTDA, India remained the leading source market with 46,473 arrivals in August, accounting for 23.4% of the total visitors. The United Kingdom followed with 19,764 arrivals, while Germany recorded 12,500, China 12,294 and France 10,495. Cumulative figures show that between the 1st of January and 31st of August this year, Sri Lanka welcomed 1,566,523 tourists. Of this total, 325,595 visitors were from India, 151,141 from the United Kingdom, and 118,916 from Russia. On to more local news now. The expert committee appointed to review the prevailing issues surrounding the Nilwala Salinity barrier has released its first report. Mathura District Member of Parliament Arkam Ilyas stated that based on the report, further discussions on this matter will be held on the 8th of September at the Presidential Secretariat. He further noted that steps will be taken to resolve the issues in line with the recommendations presented in the report. The committee comprises representatives from the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, the Department of Irrigation, as well as several external stakeholders. Now, the Agricultural and Agrarian Insurance Board has introduced an insurance mechanism for coconut seedlings cultivated by the farmers. The initiative aims to provide continuous supervision and protection of coconut seedlings supplied under subsidy schemes for new plantations, replanting and intercropping for a period of up to 5 years. Under this scheme, the insurance period will range from 15 days to 1 year. The premium is set at 67 rupees and 50 cents per seedling, while the insurance coverage amounts to 550 rupees per seedling. The program is being jointly implemented by the Coconut Cultivation Board and the Agricultural and Agrarian Insurance Board of Sri Lanka. The insurance coverage will protect coconut plantations against drought, floods, heavy rainfall, cyclones, landslides, wild elephant damage, other damages caused by wild animals, lightning and pest infestations. Meanwhile, the main program in the Galle district to mark the World Coconut Day this year was held yesterday in Indurua under the patronage of Nishantha Pereira, Member of Parliament representing the National People's Power. The event also included awareness programs for farmers on addressing the challenges faced in coconut cultivation. Now, all trade unions of the Ceylon Electricity Board have decided to commence a work to rule trade union action starting from midnight today. The decision has been taken in protest against the proposed restructuring of the Ceylon Electricity Board, along with a list of 24 demands put forward by the unions. And finally, on to your weather forecast for today. The Met Department says that a few showers may occur in the western and Sabaragamo provinces and in the Galle, Mathura, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Ampara and Batiklo as well as Monaragala districts after 2 p.m. today. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. Fairly strong winds of about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills and in the north central and northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota district. Now, the sun is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka during the 28th of August to the 7th of September due to its apparent southward relative motion. The nearest places of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead today are Ragama, Kirindibala, Ruanbala, Navalapitiya and Lunugala at about 12:09 noon. Coming up next is international news for this morning. At least 15 people have been killed and 18 others injured after a carriage on Lisbon's famous Gloria funicular derailed and crashed. Portugal's Emergency Medical Service authorities said that 5 of those injured were in a serious condition. The remaining 13, including a child, sustained minor injuries. Several people were earlier said to have been trapped at the scene. Authorities said they have all since been freed. Emergency services said foreigners were among those killed, although their nationalities could not be confirmed. Footage shared widely on social media showed a bright yellow carriage overturned and almost entirely destroyed. People could be seen fleeing the area on foot as what appears to be smoke filled the air. The Lisbon authorities say it is too early to determine the cause of this incident. On to more international news this morning. US President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that China's beautiful ceremony marking the end of the World War II should have highlighted the role that the US played in Japan's defeat. Trump told reporters in the Oval Office, and I quote, "I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive," unquote, just hours after he suggested on social media that foreign leaders meeting in Beijing might be conspiring against the US. Let's take a look at what the US president had to say.
When they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has made the 80th anniversary of the wars and a major showcase for his government and its close ties with countries at odds with Washington. Now flanked by Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping spoke before a crowd of more than 50,000 spectators at the Tiananmen Square. He surveyed a parade of goose-stepping troops and cutting-edge military equipment aimed at deterring would-be adversaries, including the United States. Coming up next is your sports news for this morning. Now, Lionel Messi is set to play his final World Cup qualifier in Argentina on Thursday, while 4 South American teams are still competing for the remaining automatic places at the 2026 tournament in what could be a dramatic climax. The 38-year-old Argentina captain will take to the pitch at the Monumental Stadium in Buenos Aires to face Venezuela in what he describes as a very special match, with his family set to be in attendance, including his wife, children, parents and siblings. Argentina coach Lionel Scaloni told reporters on Wednesday that it was going to be emotional, special and beautiful. While Argentina have secured their World Cup berth, topping the table in South America's qualifying competition with 35 points, 3 automatic qualification spots are still to be determined ahead of Thursday's fixtures and the final match day on the 9th of September. Ecuador and Brazil are already qualified with 25 points, followed by Uruguay and Paraguay with 24 points each, and Colombia with 22 points. Venezuela with 18 points remain in contention, chasing a first World Cup appearance. And that's a wrap of this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Peruni Karunaratne. Thank you for joining us today. Take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.